Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 158 of the Wise Guys Sports Show here on the Wise Guys YouTube channel. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez. And with me, as always, is the man, the myth, the technical fucking legend, JC Blue Note, Mr. Jim Cornelian James. Quick show tonight as we are recording this on Wednesday after I did not sleep very well last night. So we're going to do this quick. Technology be damned. No, I'm kidding. Mostly because we're going to clip out one of our segments as we are, James, 96, 100 and some hours away from the Major League Baseball trade deadline, which is one of the biggest days of the year for people who speculate on sports like we do. So we will actually come to you we'll record Tuesday night after the trade deadline being Monday, and we'll have that up by Wednesday. We were going to have this show.
Yeah, it's since it's really only going to be our plan is to only kind of record just the one segment as opposed to doing a live hit. We'll actually record that night. It'll be a 30 to 40-minute segment, may not even be a translator. We may not even talk anything else. And then we'll actually have that up on Wednesday early, probably before noonish, because I could probably get the whole thing edited that night. After we finish recording, and then basically we'll be off until we won't have to record until the following week. So I mean, we won't be back with you guys after the 4th. We won't be back until I want to say it's the 15th.
Yeah. And obviously then we'll have a lot more to talk about between baseball, but also we're into NFL training camps, and we're getting into the point of the year where we start to do heavy football stuff, because Jim, the end of August is college football, as crazy as it sounds. But tonight, the couple segments we want to talk to you about, we're going to start with some anger and some shock in the NBA. And that is the one thing that I did not think was going to happen, and that is LeBron James has picked the Philadelphia 76ers as he signs a 2-year, $8 million contract. Basically, it's a player option for the second year. Jim, your first thoughts on this, because you had the anger side. I'm going to go on something different.
For a guy who didn't actually write for the better part of 2 full months on his blog, I really got busy in the last couple of days. I talked about the Red Sox
Yes, you did.
winning, and then they go out and they lose the second half of the doubleheader, break the winning streak. But then 4 days later, I get to talk about LeBron James. And the anger that I had is not the fact that he spurned Cleveland and he spurned Miami, the two places that he was heavily rumored to go back to. It's the fact that he basically took the easy way out, joined up with his 4th team. And no, I'm not trying to throw a 4 horsemen up here. And basically at that point, as our new segment ticker, I'm still tweaking here. So, what the hell, let it start a few seconds late. But the fact that he basically, this is his MO. He leaves one place after kind of doing what he set out to do, for only player in history to win finals MVP with 3 different franchises. He's got 4 titles. He's got 4 finals MVPs with those. But, he goes to he starts his career with Cleveland, can't get it done, goes and joins up with his buddies and 2 All-Stars and 2 top 20 players in the NBA, goes to Miami, wins a couple of titles there, comes home to Cleveland, stays for 4 years, wins a championship there, breaking the city's long drought, goes to Los Angeles. And let's be honest, in the 8 years he was in Los Angeles, only 1 championship. Rather disappointing if you're me, but it's also, the fact that he basically facilitates the Anthony Davis trade, and then they go out and they trade for Luka, and then the injury bug and everything hits. And now he actually heads out to Philly, to where they've already got Joel Embiid, who, when healthy, is still a very, very good center in this league. He gets Jaylen Brown, the best guard, arguably, in the entire NBA, not named SGA. And then Tyrese Maxey, who's a homegrown talent and has quickly established himself as a top 40 player in the NBA. So he basically didn't actually go ahead and put together a big three. He put together kind of a big four. But Philly fan also has to put this in perspective that they all want to be excited, but they're not getting LeBron James of 5 years ago. They're getting a 41-year-old LeBron James who only played 60 games last year, has missed some time in the last few years, and he calls this his final decision, and it's going to be his last contract with that player option after next year. I can't wait for this whole thing to blow up in their face, and I have no problem with this because, well, Mike, go ahead with your take, and I'll spew out the one thing that I actually got warned by a couple of people. You might not want to say that online and put it into public record. And I said the hell with it and did it anyway.
Yeah, and my first thought, Jim, was shock. Because I knew this was going to be his last contract. This is not someone who's going to play till he's 50. I thought he would finish his career in Cleveland. I thought adding him to the James Harden, Joel Embiid, excuse me, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and Donovan Mitchell made the Cavaliers the favorite in the Eastern Conference. But thinking about this and the points you made about the teams he played with, a couple fallacies that have come out and all the and all the stuff that's been talked about since all this went down. Dwayne Wade put that team together in Miami, not LeBron. LeBron went to LA and was there for 2 years before AD showed up. And they only got LeBron because he didn't feel like going to Philly or Cleveland or Miami. He wanted to go somewhere else. Having said that, anyone who calls this a super team is either not paying attention or don't understand what history has shown us. And history has shown us this. As good as Jaylen Brown is, the Celtics were a 4 seed or a 3 seed in the playoffs. And it took a roster of 12 to do that. The Philly doesn't have this. Tyrese Maxey's a good player. He's not top 30. Joel Embiid's lucky if he plays 30 games a year. And that's extreme luck. This is not a super team. Anybody who says this is a super team only cares about paper. And as Jim, as you said, we don't play games on paper. We play them on TV.
Thank you, Craig Kilborn, Rich Eisen.
Yes. Yes. So my whole thing with this was I'm still in a little bit of shock that he did not go back to Cleveland. I honestly believed that he would end the fairy tale in Cleveland with his final contract. And again, that's because I'm the sentimental one of the two of us. Shams was on with Max Kellerman and Rich Paul in the last 2 days. I don't know if you heard this. Shams knew LeBron had a meeting with Dan Gilbert in Akron in early July. And he didn't report it because he got it off the record. And Rich Paul's like, how did you even know about that? And Shams wouldn't give up a source. So I would love to know what happened in there. One piece of this no one talks about is when LeBron won his first Mr. Ohio in basketball, who finished second to him that year?
I can't remember this. I used to know.
Former Cleveland Cavaliers GM and new Philadelphia 76ers president of basketball operations, Mike Gansey. This move by LeBron this is not about winning championships. I need people to understand this. They're not going to win a title, Jim. They're not. Cleveland is still better. The Knicks are still better. Boston is still better. I would argue when healthy, Orlando is better. Miami is now a better team. They're looking at the 6th seed, if that, and playing in tournament if Joel Embiid can't play more than 30 games. So this was about him going to a place where Tyrese Maxey is a clutch player. Rich Paul's agency. He's boys with Joel Embiid from the Olympic teams. And yeah, Jaylen Brown's somebody he wanted to play with. In the age of free agency, he made a free agent decision. LeBron didn't put this team together. This team was together before LeBron made any kind of decision. And by the way, even with Jaylen Brown and Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, no one had them being a championship contender until LeBron signed there just a few days ago. No one. So is he manufacturing titles? or is he bringing the actual chances at them?
We remember watching the Believe Land documentary as Clevelanders and Cleveland fans,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the extensive discussion they had with author Scott Rabb, who way back when LeBron left, penned a book called The Whore of Akron, and
Hmm.
it was thoughtful, it was funny, there was vitriol involved. Part of it was directed at LeBron, but the other part of it was Rabb's, you know, love of Cleveland, even though he doesn't live in Cleveland any longer, and just the dedication this town has to their sports teams. Um, I don't know. Do we call him a prostitute? Do we call him a mercenary at this point because he didn't take the money. I mean, at least he left a lot of it on the nightstand and signed for the veteran minimum. But basically, he's trying to gravy train this, and now he's forever going to be known as number two all time because Michael didn't have to go out and re-sign with other teams, and he basically picked the best situation for him because he was not going to come to Cleveland because uh there was only one ball to go around between Donovan and James Harden, and they still have to figure out with James Harden what that contract's going to look like. Miami, he had the opportunity, but they've got no depth after they traded it all away in the Giannis deal. He could sign as a free agent with Philly, who basically already had most of the cupboard with their starting five sets. The opportunity of him going to play with Golden State was very intriguing, to be able to play with Steph and Draymond, who just signed his 1 year contract today, and that'll probably be his last deal. That would have been very intriguing, just to kind of go out with that, but it also would have been very hypocritical. But there's also the the fact that there's a lot of people in Cleveland that don't really care. There's a lot of people in Cleveland that are thankful that it's over, but I'm more in the third part of that diagram, and it's starting to be a little bit larger of a slice in the Venn diagram, Mike. And that's actually the fact of when he came back, he only came back because Kyrie was here and was arguably the best point guard in basketball and didn't have anything and knew if he came back, they would get Kevin Love. And then the second Kyrie left, he was already looking for a way out of that contract and realized he was never going to get back to the champion to the finals with the way that the system was constructed. Kevin was off injured and Kevin was going to be on his way out before too long and actually end up did leaving. But the issue is that if you're a Clevelander, the minute he came back and won that title, you knew he was gone. He's never coming back here. It would have been the sentimental choice, but he really showed what he thinks of Cleveland and Northeast Ohio at this point. His family's not here anymore. He's not here anymore. And the fact that he spurned them a second time and didn't even really kind of give them the time of day with this, with the fact that the Cavaliers probably would have put the best roster on him, even though the dichotomy with him and Harden would have ultimately butted heads, at that point. It that's the venom and the vitriol that I really take out of this. I could care less if he would have come back, but it's the way that he did it. Just just like the first decision back in 2010, and now the final decision now. Goodbye. He's dead to me as a Clevelander. Thank you for 2016. He's dead to me.
Well, I mean, he's going to be dead to you until the statue goes up and 23 goes in the rafters, which are both are going to happen.
Yeah, but this
But let
actually
me say
might
this.
be something that they push that back a couple extra years.
Well, it's very possible, but that would be very petty. Be very honest with you, Jim. He's a free agent. Free agency is there for this purpose. So you can pick the
Every
situation you go into.
every single major outlet said your best option is go back to Cleveland. Go back to Cleveland. Philly wasn't on anybody's radar, and then he signs with them for the veteran minimum to be able to gravy train and get one for the thumb at this point. He's a ring chaser.
They're not winning a championship. It's not happening.
That's all
But
it is,
going
Mike. He's a ring chaser.
well, That seems to be the only thing people care about in that argument until someone brings up something else and then they add something different. You blame them? No. I blame him for me. I think this is a bonehead decision. I honestly do. I think if you wanted to win a championship, your best bet was going back to Cleveland. You can make it work with James Harden because James would have loved to have played with him. You could have made it work with Donovan Mitchell. And those two boys down low adore this man because they are the generation that grew up with him as their favorite player. They could have got it done. Back to your Jordan thing. I said this in my 100th episode or my 40th birthday episode. Michael had three things that can't be argued. He never won a title without a Hall of Fame running mate, college, pros, or Olympic. He never won a title without a Hall of Fame head coach, college, pros, or Olympic. And he never won a title without a Hall of Fame front office. Because remember, Scottie Pippen was not drafted by the Chicago Bulls. He was drafted by the Seattle Supersonics and was traded to the Chicago Bulls. He comes back from playing baseball. They got embarrassed on the glass by Orlando. Shaquille O'Neal made it known the only defender he ever feared was Dennis Rodman. Who did the Bulls go and get after that season? Dennis Rodman. For all the vitriol Chicago gives Jerry Krause put together the rosters that won them 6 championships. He's also the guy who gave Phil Jackson the job. LeBron's never had that. Because Pat Riley didn't put that Heat team together. Dwayne Wade did. Which one of LeBron's head coaches are going to the Hall of Fame?
Not a damn one of them.
And he's taken 4 rookie coaches to the finals.
The fact that he turned Tyronn Lue into a hot coaching commodity 10 years after a championship is mind-boggling. Because after he left Cleveland, that cup of coffee he had with success with the Clippers, he hadn't done shit since.
Jim, it took Mike Brown 19 years to get a title after LeBron carried that dumpster fire and Zydrunas Ilgauskas to the finals in 2007.
Yeah, but also Mike Brown took Sacramento to the playoffs and then got unceremoniously run out of town. So Mike Brown could coach. The fact is that was LeBron's team. That was not Mike Brown's team. And when you actually put a good core around them where it was just not one guy, Mike Brown's a hell of a coach. So I'm going to dismiss that argument right away.
Well, no, Mike Brown's probably the wrong example there. David Blatt would be the one I'd go with next.
Listen, shut up. Shut the fuck up.
But in all seriousness, this move was made. You know what? I'm going to say this. I may be totally off base, but this is something that's popped into my head. I think in his early 40s, expectations would be way too high if he went back to Cleveland. With the roster the Cavs had, especially adding Kevin back to be the veteran presence off the bench, the expectations in Cleveland would have been way too high for 42-year-old LeBron James.
See, and last thing we'll kind of dig in with this is that I don't think it would have been the expectation of him coming back to Cleveland to win a championship, because the Cavs, as good as they are, the fact that they're running this back and they did nothing in the offseason whatsoever, losing also Dean Wade to that, they did nothing. They changed nothing. And so they're still behind Boston. They're still behind, an improved Miami. They're still behind the Knicks. The fact how much different would LeBron have been? That's the thing is that the expectations of him coming in at 41 years old to put them over the top, it would have been the nostalgia story. It would have been the right story. Him going to Golden State could have been the right story for his career. Him going to Miami, going back home, it would have still looked gravy trained, but it would still have been someplace that he played before. The fact that he actually now joined up with 3 stars, albeit Embiid, as hurt as he is for a lot of the last few years, to me, it looks like a cop-out, and it basically means that right now it's Philly championship or bust when they're actually now easily on paper the 4th best team in the conference. So it's the worst situation he should have gone to.
I still say they're 5th or 6th. Because where's their depth?
I completely agree with that, but I think
you're
of
gonna
all the teams that we just mentioned, the worst situation he could have gone to was Philly because of the way that that roster is already constructed, how many teams they're actually sitting behind, and also that fan base. Watch them stumble out of the gate by Christmas and watch that fan base turn.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the last thing I'll say about it is this. If you dissect all the places he could have went, Golden State was the wrong thing for the narrative. I think Miami was wrong fit because they have 85 bigs and no guards. I think Philly was the wrong fit because if you're trying to win one for the thumb, you don't go to a place where the best player on the roster can't get past fucking Christmas. Cleveland, Jim, I'm sticking to my guns on this one. I think if he goes back to Cleveland with a team that honestly got blitzkrieged out of the Eastern Conference Finals by the hottest team in basketball who won the title, you add LeBron to that roster, and everybody's saying Cleveland for the first time since 2016 is championship or bust. Because the last 2 years in Cleveland, when KD was in Golden State, everybody and their mother knew they weren't winning, as good as they were. It would have been 2 championship or bust. Anybody with a brain in their fucking skull knows Philly is not championship or bust. It's not. And if you think it is, you've got shit wrong with you.
Michael, NFL training camps have officially opened. All veterans reported. I want to say the very last ones of them were yesterday. Rookies reported over the weekend for just about all teams. And we've got some of our storylines. We've got, Buffalo opening their new stadium, but all the talk is about their god awful alternate uniforms. Aaron Rodgers has
They're
confirmed
terrible.
it. Aaron Rodgers has confirmed this will be his final season, hell or high water. We've got Myles Garrett coming into camp with the Rams, who introduced 2 new alternate uniforms, and those actually, the Rams found a way to do it right. Buffalo found a way to do it all wrong. The fact that Jeremiah Love is now going to be second on the depth chart in Arizona as the 3rd overall pick behind James Conner, but it wouldn't be a training camp if we weren't actually talking about a quarterback controversy. And surprise, surprise, sir frickin' prize, Michael, it's in Cleveland.
Well, I think John Cena said it best of what the Browns are having to deal with since 1999. When the Cavs had their parade, there was 1.3 million people in Cleveland and they couldn't find a quarterback. It seems to just be what's going on. But the Browns did make 2 moves in the last 2 days that I think showed the fan base that they're in this to win it. Obviously, extending Denzel Ward, the hometown hero, as I've said before. I wish I could find that shirt in my size from the same t-shirt shop you got Bobby's Cavs shirt from, where in 1/3 of his body it's the Nordonia Knights uniform, the middle is the Ohio State uniform, and the other side is the Browns uniform.
But I think we actually have it. But we've got audio of Denzel going into the building to sign that contract.
Stop it.
I mean, he's known as Hospital for a reason.
He is. And then, of course, speaking of hospitals, Grant Delpit was extended today. So, and again, Andrew Berry, he's got to throw the fan base a couple of defensive guys that have been here for a long time, especially with the Myles Garrett trade, with what that did to the franchise. But yeah, you're right. The quarterback controversy is going to be the biggest thing. New head coach Todd Monken, for some reason, is in love with the Predator. And no, I'm not talking about the Schwarzenegger movie with Jesse the Body Ventura. I'm talking about, of course, Bill, Denzel, Deshaun, Bill Cosby Watson. I still think we should commission those shoes. I think Pants would do it. I really do. But let's dive into this a little bit, because they put out some numbers on TikTok today. One of the live streamers who's a big Browns fan. Apparently Shador went 16 of 22 or 16 of 19 in his reps with the first team. Deshaun went 15 of 22 with 2 picks. Dylan Gabriel did most of his work with the second team, but did get some first team reps in. Jim, I'm going to say this to you now, and I've said it before in the show. I said it to you this morning when we spoke at 7:30. If they start Deshaun Watson, they're not only stir crazy fucking stupid, they're asking for the fan base to revolt.
Without question. I mean, if you're going to start him, you do it for the first 2 games on the road. You do not do it for the home opener unless he's
No.
absolutely putting up like MVP numbers in those first 2 games and shocks the world.
The stat line he'd have to come up with in the first 2 games for the Cleveland fans to not boo the shit out of him coming out of the tunnel in the home opener is 75% completion, 450 or 550 to 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, no picks. That is how insane his stat line has to be for this fan base to forgive just the insane amount of reset the franchise had to do for that stupid fucking trade, the insane amount of gambling that they had to do with the salary cap because of that stupid fucking contract. And we said it before and we'll say it again. For the first time since 2017, Myles Garrett is not running out of the tunnel at Cleveland Brown State or Huntington Bank, whatever the fuck they call it, at the mistake by the lake. And that's because of Deshaun Watson.
Here's how bad it is, Michael, is the Browns, even after extending Ward and Delpit, they are still $20.2 million under the cap, which puts them 15th right now. Watson is on the hook for 40.9 this year. We all know that. And with the way that they deferred the money, they're still going to be paying him until 2029 to count against the cap. The Browns have $116.7 million in dead cap money for players that are no longer on this roster.
Look, this is the worst run franchise in the NFL that's not named the New York Jets. And with your Jeremiah Love thing, I think the Cardinals are quickly entering the chat.
I mean, just
and the reason there's
let me throw out the top 5 names here of and what their contracts are. Joel Bitonio, they're paying $23.5 million, even though he retired. Until that paperwork officially goes through, that's still going to count against them. Myles Garrett, 21.3, because that new contract doesn't kick in until after next season. Jack Conklin, released or moved on, $12.7 million. Dalvin Tomlinson, who was ruled out, $12.1 million. David Njoku, who's moved on, $9.5 million. Wyatt Teller, who moved on, $8.2 million. Juan Thornhill, who moved on, $5.6 million. Oba Okoronkwo, who I want to say is on his second team after leaving the Browns, $4.7 million. Ethan Posick, their stud center, $4.3 million. And kicker Justin Hopkins, $2.7 million after he got replaced by Andre Schmidt as a rookie last year after going to the Pro Bowl 2 years ago when they were in the playoffs.
Why does it seem to me the most Browns thing ever to have $2.7 million in dead cap money to a fucking kicker?
They still also they're still paying just shy of $1.4 million to Joe Flacco.
Why do we bust Bobby when he has chops? Seriously. Let's be honest. The quarterback controversy with Cleveland is not the biggest thing with this roster right now. This roster is so incomplete still. And we agree with this as much as we make fun of it with Bobby's videos the last couple of years going into our draft show. Andrew Berry did a damn good job in the draft the last 2 seasons. He still has a
Paul DePodesta's not over his shoulder.
Very true. So he's got a Midland wide receiver room with Jerry Stonehands Judy.
Who thankfully that $10.3 million contract falls off after the year 2.
Yeah. And you got the living embodiment of Hot Hands Hanen from Little Giants playing wide receiver 1 for you. You lost your good tight end And who knows how Harold Fan is going to come back from the torn groin he suffered last year. You have an offensive line that is at best untested, at worst trash. And you have two quarterbacks who are fighting for the job, where one of them showed some kind of competency last season. Say what you want about Shador. Say what you want about his dad, everything else. Shador didn't play bad. Shador was handed a trash offense, and he did not play bad. He won some games. They've upgraded the O-line. They've upgraded the wide receiver room. You're getting Quinshon Judkins back healthy. You have an offense around him now.
I was going to say, you actually have a stud tight end who was on the all-rookie team. You went out and got two of arguably the 5 best receivers in the entire draft.
I'd say you got number 3 and 4 in the draft. Honestly, the top 4 in the draft that we kept seeing were Concepcion, Boston, Carnell Tate, and the kid from was the kid from Miami? No. Oh, what the hell was his name?
I mean, I know it wasn't the kid from Indiana that we were high on.
No, he was top 10, but he wasn't top 4.
Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson. Yeah, who went at 8, and then you traded down, and we also forgot Mekhi Lemon, who went. So Conception also went. Conception goes in the first round. Omar Cooper was in there, but the Browns weren't thinking about him. But again, you get Boston in the second round, so I mean, you've got, and then the improvement from Isaiah Bond that you got last year. Getting him basically as an undrafted free agent with the off-field issues, and thankfully you didn't go out and actually use a supplemental draft pick on him, and especially with the whole thing with Brendan Sorsby. So you ain't got to worry about that. I mean, worst case is if Sorsby does actually find a way to keep himself in shape, you possibly look at him next year in a supplemental draft. You've got a good quarterback class coming out. You've got $40 million falling off in Watson in terms of, at least him not being on the roster. You're still going to be paying him. You got Judy falling off. You've done a lot to get a lot younger with this. And this is going to go one of two ways, Michael. We're either going to see this look like the Cleveland Guardians, who take that youth movement and build from within and get a couple of other pieces, parts, and try to contend or at least hover, and it takes them a couple of years to get there. Or we're going to see the Miami Marlins and the Colorado Rockies, where it basically means it's comic relief, and we've got it on as background noise as we're getting chores done on Sunday.
In other words, it's either going to be the Browns or the Browns. But there has been a new wrinkle to this, Jim, and we were talking about it this morning. And let's address, as I kick the thing again, I'm really bad at that. Let's address this. Well played. But it has come out of Tampa. And by the way, I saw a blooper reel from Tampa's Fox affiliate down there, where the guy called him Beaker instead of Baker, which was hysterical. Baker Mayfield has broken all talks with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on his contract extension. A lot of this, I think, can be attributed to the fact that Mike Evans was not made a priority, and Mike Evans is now in San Francisco with George Kittle and Brock Purdy. Jim,
we're going to come back to Baker, and we might run a little long with this segment with that timer. We've seen stories kind of coming into camp. As we've seen this much fallout of a team in recent memory in the opening days of camp, where it's so much falling out. I mean, Evans isn't there. Baker wants out. Vita Vea indicated he wants out. What's going on in Tampa right now? I mean, Carolina won that division last year, and New Orleans is on the come up. Atlanta's on the come up. Is Carolina going to be maybe a double-digit win team this year and finally start to get that, you know, get pushed forward the way that we were all hoping? I mean, this was Tampa's division to lose for all these years. And now the Mike Evans domino thing, yeah, it sucks because he's a future Hall of Famer, but you had to know with this stage of his career, he wasn't long for that. And Baker now wanting to test free agency. So let's now kind of get back into that. And I'm sorry for, steamrolling over your
No, you're
thunder
fine.
here with that, but it's, what in the hell happened here in Tampa in the last maybe 72 hours?
What happened is Mike Evans was not tendered a contract.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that was weeks ago.
Yeah, that was weeks ago. But Jim, you've got to remember a couple of things about this. When a franchise icon is basically said, there's the door. And there's no, well, let's restructure. Let's work out something where we can keep you, but you're not going to make as much money. There was never a mention of that. It's the same thing that happened to the Jets when Nick Mangold retired because he was forced out. It's a franchise icon. It's a locker room leader. Mike Evans wore that C, I'm pretty sure, his rookie season. When it's a guy that Tom Brady looked to help with leadership, because say what you want about Brady, and I don't like him. Brady and Mike Evans worked well together. You just did this. You had your quarterback come out and actually say concessions will be made to keep Mike Evans a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And then the front office does one of these. Oh, no, I can see people wanting to get the fuck out of there as fast as they can.
Yeah.
So I said that to say this. I said that to say this. If the college football season does not turn out the way a lot of the experts are saying, Trinidad Chambliss has a rough season. Dante Moore has a rough season. Julian Sayin doesn't come out, which a lot of people are now speculating that he may stay, which would screw Tavian St. Clair, but that's for a different day. Do the Browns look for the reunion?
I think the damage is way too much there because there's still, even if he's not on the roster, there's still, and granted, a lot of the front office has kind of changed and the head coaching staff is different. There's still a lot of blood on the door.
There may be a lot of blood on the door, but it's from people putting the knife in his back. And let's just throw that straight out there. Baker Mayfield is still the only quarterback since Vinny Testaverde to win a playoff game for the Cleveland Browns. He played hurt from a game you were at. Every quote-unquote expert on NFL Network or ESCCP NFL, whichever you want to do, said the injury was going to impact his throwing. And instead of making the smart decision, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski kept sending an injured player out there to play. And then they went out and got a fucking rapist to play quarterback instead of a guy who was putting his body on the line every week to try and win games. There may be blood on the door, and it may be Baker's blood, but it's from taking the knife out of his back on the way out the door.
So let's talk about it. If where would be spots for him to fill, because they're already projecting if they are going to trade Vitavea, they were looking at Las Vegas, they were looking at New England. The two that intrigue me very much would be Carolina, but I highly doubt Tampa would trade him within the division. The one that's actually very intriguing, and I honestly think may have the potential of putting them over the top, would be the Chargers. With that defense, that could actually make them the class of that division, especially if Bo Nix does not return to form after that ankle injury that late in the season. Denver's got a very, very good team. But remember, it was them and the Chargers neck and neck for a lot of the year until the Chargers kind of fell off. But the Chargers look to be right about there. Herbert, we've seen him progressing every year. And I know you hate the coaching staff there. He has been getting better. He's not where he was at the start of his career, but he's definitely kind of getting back to a very respectable and top tier level. Bo Nix took a dramatic step forward, but we got to see what year 3 kind of does for him. And then now Kansas City rebuilding, you can never really count out. We know that the Raiders are kind of an afterthought. We don't think they're going to be as big of a joke as they are in that division. And we'll
No.
break this down more as we do our NFL preview here in a couple of weeks. We'll probably schedule that in the 8 days we're going to be off after next week's show. But again, him going to the Chargers with Khalil Mack already there, that's a little spicy.
I think the two teams with him who you have to truly worry about, one of them is going to make you go, what in the hell are you thinking, dude? And the other one is going to be scary. The first one, what the hell are you thinking, dude? I can see the Bills going after him. And now let's play the God forbid mode. What if Seattle goes after him?
As we've already kind of run a little long here with this, we can run a few extra moments here. So his contract right now is 22 million for this season, and he's also a UFA after the season. So if we look at some of the team caps, the Bills only have 10 million, so they would have to move parts around to get him, which wouldn't happen. And who else would you say? Seattle?
Yeah.
They're at 25.7, so they could potentially add him and still have 5 million in space.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there would be money exchanging hands if that kind of deal went through.
But the reason why I say the Chargers is not only to be able to shore up that defense, the Chargers have 41 million in cap space, so they're still going to be able to go out and spend upwards of 16 million more to improve that team to make them the class of that division. San Francisco's also in the mix, because here's a San Francisco team that was in the playoffs and has $69 million in cap space this year.
Nice.
Going into camp, a team that went to the playoffs has more than $16 million worth of cap space than the team that had the number 1 pick in the draft a year ago, and that's Tennessee. What's wrong with that picture?
What's wrong with that picture is that Tennessee is horribly mismanaged, and all San Francisco does is win games and apparently drop cell phones and get into car accidents.
Yeah, but it's also, again, the Chargers, a playoff team, 41 million under the cap. This is going to be silly season now. I mean, and I'm all for it, but I mean, real quick, where do we think Baker could end up? I actually brought it up with you. I could see him going to Minnesota. Maybe on
I can too, especially because it looks like Kyler Murray is going to win that job. More proof that JJ got that draft position because of what they did in Ann Arbor. I think a couple of landing spots for Baker as a starter.
He wouldn't go to New York.
No, Dante Moore's going number 1 overall to the Jets in the draft next year. He ain't going to New York. Here's some couple interesting ones. Arizona.
I could see that.
Him with Marvin Harrison and a top 5 pick next year, and Jeremiah Love. I think that Miami has to be in that mix.
I was thinking Miami, but Miami's got some work to do, and Baker now is going to be kind of getting up there. Is he going to want to be part of a potential rebuild, even though it's on the come up? Because he's already done that twice with Carolina and Cleveland.
Now let's go to the real crazy one. What happens if Dallas cuts Dak Prescott? Let's see. AFC East. Patriots don't need one. Bills don't need one. Jets are terrible. Miami is a possibility. AFC North. Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals. None of them are going to take him. Oh, could he end up in Pittsburgh, James?
I was just thinking Pittsburgh because of the fact that but then again, I think as much as blood is on the door in Cleveland, there's no way I could actually see him going to Pittsburgh.
Jim, he's got the mentality to follow.
I think he's still got enough respect for the city and the fan base to do that.
I don't think he has any respect for Jimmy Haslam or for Andrew Berry, and he would.
I mean, I completely agree with that.
So, but here's the thing, though. He's also proven he can come in behind a fucking legend and play well. AFC South.
Texans.
CJ's not going anywhere.
Colts, we know they're short up. The Jaguars are set with their progression with Trevor Lawrence. Tennessee's got their number one in house, so it's not there. We've already discussed the AFC West. He's not showing up there.
Jim, if Ty Simpson is terrible, does he go to LA? I think we're all under the impression that this is going to be Stafford's last year, especially with the swing with Miles. If Ty Simpson is absolutely terrible and they don't trust him, could McVay bring back the guy who won him games after being in the building for, 10 minutes?
And he'd be reunited with Miles, who he still got a pretty good relationship with because,
exactly.
Because that was the wedge there is, the opportunity of bringing in Watson. Yeah, there was friction between them before, but it's definitely, we've seen the fallout from both. They shoved Baker out, and then Miles had to deal with that crap for 4 years and obviously wanted out.
Well, I think if you remember the press conference that Miles had to give after Baker was let go, Miles was pissed.
Yeah. You look at the NFC East, the Giants are set with Jackson Dart. Washington could be a possibility because this is, I think, going to be a decision year with Jaden Daniels. Philadelphia set. Dallas, we got to figure out what's going on with Dak. The entire NFC North, we've already talked about Minnesota, but everyone else is set. We've got Caleb, we've got Jared Goff, we've got Jordan Love. The NFC South, I don't see him going to a different team in that division because outside of Tampa, everyone's got their quarterback between Shuck, Bryce, and Penix, and all young guys. And then we talked about in the NFC West, Arizona's a possibility. Purdy's not going anywhere. Sam Darnold's not going anywhere. And the Rams are a possibility as well.
And with the NFC South, he also wouldn't play for Stefanski again.
And
so that's an easy one.
And here's the other fact. The fact that he's testing free agency, he could end up back in Tampa. They could franchise him for next year.
They absolutely could. So that's going to be interesting. But going back to the Browns real quick, just to wrap this up. Jim, if I had to make a prediction right now, Deshaun's going to play. And it's going to cost Todd Monken his job.
I don't think so. And let me throw this out and we'll finish the segment here. I think Deshaun plays, but I think, let's say by the trade deadline, that they're in the shitter. They're already losing him. Do they cut him and give Taylon Green and Dylan Gabriel his spot, knowing that they're going to be drafting a quarterback in the top 10 next April? Do they cut him with nothing left to lose?
Please. Here's the thing, but here's what I'd like to see them do. And then we can end it here. James, I would like to see them play Shador. I'd like to see him give him a year of seasoning and then go take Jeremiah Smith in the top 5.
Or Dante Moore, because we already established he's about the only one in the class that, even though you're not going to get him that actually knows the cold weather that well.
Take Jeremiah Smith, because then your wide receivers are Smith, Concepcion, Boston. Oh,
God,
take the Buckeye.
Sometimes.
I know you do, because that's making you salivate, that wide receiver room, isn't it? Yeah.
Would you shut up and just push the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the YZ Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever unclean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the YZ Translator. It is the best segment of the night because it is the last segment of the night. It is that time when James and I give each other names inside and outside of the sports world. And the first thing that pops into our minds is what we give to you over the internet airwaves. And it is set here for life because the internet never goes away. Although we would like to make some of it go away sometimes. So as we have gotten to our technologically advanced setup that James has done so very well, we are able to give you the best 5 minutes of the week, the Wisey Chronicle. You're such an asshole.
I made sure it was something just that bad because I did not want it to be that joke that I sent you about 3 hours ago if you watched it.
Watched it. I played it at the office.
That might be the joke of the year.
There's no might be, James. It is the joke of the year.
And we will not be linking that to this show.
No. That and the one from when you had to yell my wife's name that time. Those two will never be linked to the show. Oh, the gift that keeps on giving, and not just the Lead of the Month Club. Oh, God. So, James, it is incumbent upon me to give the first name of the YZ Translator. I'm going to go somewhere that we're going to talk about more next week on Tuesday. And, James, your name in today's YZ Translator is possibly, after making his final start there, Detroit Tigers pitcher Tarek Skubal.
Throws his 1,000th strikeout, and then they blow a 6-0 lead. I mean, how the mighty have fallen.
Who do they think they are? The Mets?
Yeah. But I mean, we all knew that something was up with Detroit when they basically, imploded at the end of last season and kind of stumbled out of the gate. But then again, the most screwed up thing of the aspect of this whole thing, Michael, is with that division, the Tigers are 7 games under 500 and they're only 5.5 out. The White Sox are 4 games over 500, leading that division. The Guardians finally won a game today. And then, when you look at some of the other things, Mike, here's how bad there's parity in baseball. Do you realize that the Arizona Diamondbacks are only 5 games over 500 and own the 7th best record in all of baseball right now?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these teams that were projected to play well this year just haven't, whether it's bad play, whether it's bad luck, or it's injuries. I mean, think about, just going back to my Mets real quick, think about all the dudes they just got back. They just got Lindor back right before the All-Star break. They just got Luis Robert back. Clay Holmes is set to make another start tonight in rehab, but he's probably going to get traded. By the way, Soto's done until mid-September. He popped the calf again. So injuries this year have been a huge factor. And is it just me, or all the years the WBC happens, injuries are a big factor?
I mean, it's definitely something there. We always run the risk of that with the Olympics or World World Cup, in soccer. We have it with the World Championships in hockey and FIBA in basketball. The the NFL doesn't really have that, which is why they eliminated the Pro Bowl for being an actual game and basically made them, bring back the quarterback competition or the skills competition from back in the
Yes.
quarterback club back in the 90s, essentially, and have them do all this other stuff and dodgeball and all that. But I mean, when you
Hold
look
on.
at,
And they have to do it in the Zubaz pants.
I had a pair of those, dude. Shut your mouth.
I had 3.
But I mean, you look at Scooble, yeah, he's made 16 starts this year, 96 innings. He's given up 10 home runs, 116 strikeouts. His ERA is 2.79, still very good quality. He's 7-5 on the season because he gets like next to no run support there, and also had that time on the DL that the second that happened, Cleveland fans started licking their chops, thinking they could actually go out and steamroll this division. And oh yeah, here come the White Sox, who just
Yeah.
hover right around there. But it's definitely, it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. Because Detroit's obviously going to be sellers, and I'm not sure if he's going to be the only one getting moved. You have to look at some of their other star position players. Is Spencer Torkelson's name getting thrown around, as another star of theirs, another budding star that could get moved? If they're going to move Scooble, it would be basically the equivalent of the Pirates moving Skeens, which is not going to happen with the fact that the Pirates are competitive again the last couple of years. So it's going to cost somebody a very hefty penny, but my fear is that somebody's going to do it now before we get our lockout and everything. And it all depends. I'd rather see him go to like a wild card level team than like somebody like him, and the Rays would be awesome because it would allow the Rays to finally break through. I don't know if they'll do that. As long as he doesn't end up like with San Diego, the Dodgers, the Braves, or the Yankees, I have no problem with wherever he may end up going.
Well, yeah, no, I don't either. And again, for the rental thing, you have to figure it this way. As good as they are, I don't think the Dodgers are giving up the entire farm system for him for this season. The three-peat would be nice. I mean, it'd be the first since the Yankees in 98, 99, 2000. But the Dodgers also know that they're an aging rotation, and you can throw a shit ton of money at them in the offseason. Why give up the boatload? You're going to be in the World Series from the National League anyway. I think a couple teams in play for him that no one's talking about, to be honest with you. One of them, Jim, as stupid as this sounds, as absolutely stir crazy stupid as this sounds, dude, what if Philly's in on him?
I could see Philly. I mean, because
Really?
he's
Eric
a
Scooble?
He's a UFA after the year, especially with the fact that Philly got that close and then went into a little bit of a slide and kind of lost a little bit of ground to the Braves. That could be interesting. He's still only 29. He's already had his TJ surgery, so he's still arguably one of the more dominant players in all of baseball. If you're Detroit, absolutely you're going to move him to be able to get something out of him. You've got a playoff appearance, 2 playoff appearances with him. He's got a couple of Cy Youngs. He's arguably the best pitcher in baseball. And I say this wholeheartedly. If he goes to the Dodgers, if I were the other 29 teams in baseball, including Detroit, well, 28 at this point, take Detroit and the Dodgers out of the equation, I actually would file protest and antitrust at this point, because then you're going to push the Dodgers payroll up over 900 million.
Well, you can't file the antitrust because the Dodgers have to give up a boatload to get him. And every team has top prospects. And if you don't want to part with your top prospects, you now have no reason to bitch. None. Sorry. You don't. Again, I don't think he goes to the Dodgers. The Padres are so far out of it, it's not even funny. They're done.
The Rangers
Arizona
could be
would
in
be
play.
The Arizona is interesting. I don't want to speculate the trade deadline. I think there's some crazy shit that's going to go down in the next 4 days. Who you got for me, bud?
Him in Pittsburgh would be real fun.
Him in Pittsburgh will be borderline unfucking fair.
It would be Schilling and Unit 2.0. Because you'd have to go Skeens and Scooble back-to-back days.
No, because Skeens is likable. No one likes Schilling.
But you know what I'm getting at.
On the field, yes. Off the field, Scooble and Skeens are actually nice people. Schilling is a douchebag.
Mike, I'm going to stay along the same lines, and I'm going to hit a little close to home here, and his name is certainly going to come up when we talk again on Tuesday. He's another one that's likely going to get moved, and that is your own New York Mets. Arguably did not pan out at all, Freddie Peralta.
You said it didn't pan out. I remember being jacked for opening day when it was him and Skeens. And what I saw from Freddie Peralta on opening day was, oh shit. Now here's the one thing that could happen. I think he goes back to Milwaukee. And with the fact that he actually does like being in that clubhouse in New York. He's already said it. He said, this is on him. And if you know Mets history, Carlos Beltran, who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, is the third player with a Mets cap on in his plaque. His first season in New York was dog shit. 06 on, he was great. He was amazing, which is why now he's in the Hall of Fame as a Met. The thing that nobody's talking about with this is if he goes back to Milwaukee, Milwaukee's not going to sign him. So he could still end up with the Mets on a longer-term deal. But at the same time, if you're Milwaukee and you're going to be in a dogfight with the Cubs, do you want him who he can't get out of his own goddamn way to pitching down the stretch?
I mean, because he's only costing you $8 million with a club option right now, and he's a UFA this fall anyway. I mean, could he end up going back to Milwaukee on a rental, even though they're not going to re-sign him at that point? Does he go to Boston after Boston moved one of their starters? To possibly make way for, a move where they actually said that it just didn't align with, what they were looking to do with the arms that they have in their lineup, and the fact that he's still very young, with Chris Sale on his way back.
Sale pitched for Atlanta tonight.
I'm sorry. It's why was I? Because I remember Sale was there the next night.
Sonny Gray.
They got somebody and they moved him. I think they moved him to make room for somebody coming back off the disabled list, which actually surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I can't remember who it was. Sale threw a 2-hit shutout tonight, by the way. Fuck him. Yes, the Mets have played Atlanta 6 times and the Mets have won 4 games. Can't beat anybody else, but they can beat the Braves. I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, we're going to break down the trade deadline in such stupid detail on Tuesday night. What the hell was I going to say? Yeah, I don't think Peralta, wherever he lands, is going to stay there. I honestly believe he'll be back with the Mets once the lockout business is taken care of. I think he's going to go back. They get too many Hispanics for him not to go back. They do.
So again, we will go ahead.
Hold on real quick. Speaking of the trade deadline, did you hear what Stern said when he was asked about it? He said, my young guys and my Hall of Famers will be here. So there goes the speculation on Lindor, because he lumped Lindor into that conversation. So Lindor will be staying, Soto will be staying, Carson Ben, JJ Ewing, McClain. I don't think you'll see Jonah Tong go anywhere. So the Mets are looking to build this thing, but I thought it was funny. We were talking about Lindor possibly going back to Cleveland, and now all of a sudden he's lumped in with it. Nope. That had to come from the top.
So we will see you guys again. We will tape on Tuesday. That actually should say August 5th. The deadline is August 4th. I'm fixing that now.
Third.
Okay, you're right. It's because I know I got a dentist appointment. that same day.
Oh.
So, hey, I'm all amped up for. So by the time we're taping this, I have Spirit Box and Evanescence tomorrow night. Evanescence is going to be taking the stage right about like 24 hours from like now. And they're doing like a 2-hour set. So I've been jacked for this concert for 6 months. So I'm all of my days are screwed up right now. But we will actually be taping on Tuesday night as a review of everything. We will post the show sometime during the day on Wednesday. And then from there, episode 160 will come to you guys. We'll be back on our regular Wednesday, Thursday type taping schedule. And then we'll be uploading on Saturday. And that will come on August the 15th. We are going to take a little bit of a hiatus through part of like late August. We'll take a week here, maybe 2 weeks there. I'm going to be on vacation for part of that. Mike's got something coming up, so we will let you guys know when that break is going to be and what our schedule is going to look like. And then, after Labor Day, Mike, we're into the stretch drive of baseball, and we've got
Everybody.
pigskin.
We got everybody else, because then by the time we hit the end of August, we'll have to do the NFL and college football preview. By the time we get to the end of September, we're doing the NHL and NBA preview. I mean, we're getting into content heavy season, kids.
It's the slowest time of the entire sporting year because we're only watching guys running around in pads and t-shirts in the NFL, and we get our first games. I want to say some of the first games are happening as of next weekend when we're back off that little mini break. So the slowest time of the entire sporting season, it's almost over, folks.
Yay.
So for the Big Rican Mike Martinez, I am JC Blue Note, Jim Crenity. We will see you guys on Wednesday when this tapes. We'll look at a lot of the different moves. It's going to be a very, very short show. Everybody have yourself a great week, a great weekend by the time you see this. Hopefully I'm actually not like, doing Archer and going mop from having my hearing blown out tomorrow night. Because I'm also going to see my cousin's band on Friday night. So that's going to be fun. But we will see you guys early next week, and everyone enjoy yourself and let us know what you think. Who's getting moved?
See you guys.